Hi friends, I want to continue our study on plants, and so today we're going to take a look at the importance of plants, how they benefit the earth. Plants are not only beneficial to humans, but also to animals. Without plants, life on earth would be impossible. Plants produce the oxygen we breathe, and without oxygen, animals and people couldn't live. They provide shelter for animals. They clean the air by taking in the carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen. Humans use plants to make many things, like furniture and clothing. We also use them as food, and they make the earth alive with color. Plants do not move on their own. They don't talk or think or make noise, but they are alive just like us. And animals, like all living things, need food to grow. They produce young, and then they die. But the plants do something that no one else can do. They make their own food. Right there, right where they are, they use the energy from the sunlight to produce their food. This process is called photosynthesis. Photosynthesis comes from the Greek word photo, which means light, and synthesis, which means putting it together. Plants put sunlight, water, and air together to make their food. All plants are part of the plantae kingdom, from this tiny wildflower to a giant oak tree. There are so many types of plants that botanists have not been able to identify every single plant that lives on the earth. We can find plants all over the world in all types of conditions. They're in the coldest places as well as the hottest places on earth. And to stay alive, plants have adapted, and that means they have changed slowly to suit their surroundings. For example, in the desert, there are plants that are prickly, and they don't need a lot of water. They have long roots that soak up dew or water, and they have no leaves. Some plants live in the water. These plants have air pockets that help them float, and they tend to have leaves capable of absorbing nutrients from the water. There are plants that live in tropical forests, and they need to catch as much sunlight as possible, so they tend to have wide leaves that enable them to do that. Plants in very cold areas tend to grow close to the ground to avoid the wind. Plants' needs are not that complicated. All they need is sunlight, water, and good soil. If they have too much or too little of these things, they will die. We've already talked about why plants need light to make their own food. Now we'll talk about the reason they need the water. Plants need water to grow. They absorb the water from the soil through their roots, and some plants need more water than others. Plants also need warmth. The right temperature provides the right conditions for their seeds to grow. Usually seeds do not grow during the winter when the temperatures are cold. Plants need nutrients. Even though they can make their own food, they need some nutrients found in the soil. And just like they absorb the water through the roots, they also absorb the nutrients from the soil through their roots. Plants have their own life cycle. It starts when a seed from a plant falls to the ground. The first phase is called germination. Germination happens when the seed starts to grow. Then a young shoot develops. And as it grows and gets a little longer and the roots go a little deeper, it starts to grow leaves, starting to make its own food. And some plants grow flowers at the end of these stems. And these flowers have a type of dust that we call pollen. Pollen is a powdery dust, and bees and other insects bring the pollen or powdery dust from one flower to another. This is called pollination. The pollen from both flowers mix together to form a seed. And when the seed falls to the ground, the cycle starts all over again.